Hey guys, and welcome back to the Python for Beginners series. Before we start this video, I'd like to apologize for not uploading in a while. My schedule was really full and I couldn't find time to make a new video. Rest assured, I'll be releasing more videos in the series more frequently. Now, let's get back to the tutorial. Previously, we learned about variables and how to use them in Python. If you haven't watched the first episode yet, I'll leave a link to the playlist in the top right. I'll be using Visual Studio Code for these tutorials, and I've made a detailed video on how to install it on your device, which I will link in the description. We have used variables to store individual pieces of data like strings, numbers, and booleans. However, they can be used to store other data types. One of these is a list that can be used to store multiple pieces of data in one variable. We create a list by creating a new variable and setting it to equal a pair of square brackets. These pair of square brackets are used to signify that the data within them is a list in Python. Now, let's make this list contain some data. Within the square brackets, we can store multiple pieces of data separated by a comma. These do not have to be of the same type and can be a combination of multiple types of data. For example, within this list, I'm going to store the integer 4, the string Python, and the boolean false. If we try printing this list, we can see no errors being thrown and the list being printed as a whole. Now, what if you wanted to access a certain item in the list and nothing else? To do this, we print the name of the list followed by a pair of square brackets. Inside these square brackets, we put the index of whatever we want to print. Python starts indexes at 0. So the number 4 would be given the index 0, the string Python would be given the index 1, and the boolean false would be given an index of 2. So if I want to print the value of Python, I just set the index to 1 and run the program. As you can see here, just Python is printed and nothing else. If you want to add a value to the end of a list, Python has a function for it. So to use it, we type in the variable name and .append. Inside these brackets, we put what we want to add to the end of the list. So for example, if I wanted to add the value 8, I would type 8 in here. Now, if we try printing the list, we can see the value of 8 has been appended to the end of the list. However, please note that this isn't permanent, and if you try running the program again without the append, the list would not have the value 8 in it. We now know how to get an input from a user and use basic data types. Now, we will learn how to let Python make decisions using this data. To help us, Python has the if statement. We will be using this in a lot of our work in the future, so it's important you learn how to use them early on. The if statement allows us to make decisions based on whether something is true or false. To use this, we can use the if statement and a comparison next to it, which can either be true or false. We then put a colon next to it on what we want to run if the statement is true beneath it. However, to let Python know what it should run if the statement is true, we have to indent this code. To do this, you can use a tab key on your keyboard. Visual Studio Code does this automatically, so I highly recommend you download it. A common comparison made in an if statement is comparing two values. To do this, we have the first value and the second value separated by two equals. As we know phi and phi are equal to each other, if we run this program, we can see this will run if true being printed. However, if we compare 5 and 6, for example, nothing is printed as the value is not true. To check for multiple statements, we can use elif. Please keep this in the same indentation level as the if, so it will run alongside it. We can have an alternate true or false statement. For example, phi is equal to phi. Then, if we have another statement here, we can make it run if this elif is true. If none of these statements are true, and we still want something to be run, we can use the else statement. Here, we don't need a true or false statement as it would run only if everything else is false. Here, we can put in what we want to run if everything else turns out to be false. You can now let Python make decisions based on data you've collected. I hope you've learned something from this video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. If you want more content like this, be sure to click on the like button and subscribe with the bell turned on to be notified when I upload a new video. Thank you for watching and I'll see you later.